I heard noises coming from the staircase that was behind me. I heard somebody running down the stairs.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Story number 21, take one.
Al Kelchner dreamed of living a quiet life in the countryside. And in 2001, he needed some peace more than ever.
I went through a difficult period in 2001, including my father's death, 9/11, and then I was laid off from the company that I was working for. I'd reached a point in my life where I needed a change. I needed some calm in my life. My dad was a farm boy, so being out in the country, especially someone who was from the urban New York metropolitan area, that was a big thrill.
So Al made a change. He left New York City and bought a hobby farm in Illinois.
It was kind of, magical. It just fulfilled every expectation I had about the type of little farm I wanted. It was picture, postcard perfect. I just saw potential and possibilities.
Al was so taken with the farm that he bought it on impulse, without having stepped foot inside. It would be a decision he'd live to regret.
It was very dark, physically, literally physically dark. Oh, it was threatening. You felt uneasy the second you walked into that house. You felt as though you were being watched. It was a very negative, dark energy and extremely intimidating. I did subsequent research and found out that it was a pretty interesting place. There's a lot of history from from the Revolution and colonial days. I was very conflicted. I found my little dream farm, but at the same time, I hated going home at night. The drive, the closer I got, the more unnerved I became because I knew I had to open that back door and walk into a totally dark house out in the country by myself.
Al's uneasy feeling in the house remained just a feeling, until a few days after he moved in.
One morning I got up and I went into the bathroom to shower and get ready for work. And the bathroom was a mess. Towels were on the floor. Toiletries were scattered around. Items had been taken out of the cabinet and they were laying across the top of the vanity. I was uneasy. I had no logical explanation.
Little did Al know, this was just the beginning. Soon he began to experience other strange phenomena.
There was walking, talking, and frequently my face was touched and stroked. It was one of those experiences you can't see, you can't explain, and it's really unnerving. But that wasn't the end of it. I was sitting in the family room and talking with a friend on the phone when I heard, suddenly, loud knocking by the front door in the living room, which was a room and a half away. And then moved into the parlor, which is adjacent to the living room. And upstairs, directly over my head, It probably lasted a couple of minutes, and was incredibly unnerving. And that was when I finally threw in the towel, raised the white flag, and said, okay, I believe in you. So we're going to have to coexist.
If Al thought acknowledging whatever was haunting his house would calm the activity, he was wrong.
I was in the corner of the kitchen. I had bread in the toaster. And as I stood there, all of a sudden I felt a sharp pain in the back of my neck. And I thought, well, maybe I'd slept the wrong way and pinched a nerve. The pain spread through my shoulders, down into my chest. And I thought, oh my God, I just bought this place. I'm going to have a heart attack in my new residence and nobody's going to find me. You know, this is just awful. But then I realized that it wasn't from stress. It was someone who had wrapped their arms around me and was squeezing tighter and tighter. And I said, stop it. And immediately it stopped and dissipated. But that wasn't the end of it. On Thursday of the same week, at about the same time, same location, same routine, toast in the toaster, it happened again. This time, though, just was an immediate bear hug. Someone very large, very strong, very powerful, wrapping their arms around me and pulling me close. And again, I yelled, stop it, and it stopped immediately. I felt terrified. I couldn't see anything, but obviously there was something that had a physical effect on me. So I had no answers.
A house can feel physically threatening depending on what entity or spirit is occupying the house. Spirits are what they were in life. So if you're a violent person in life, if you're an angry person in life, you'd probably carry that to the other side. Spirits can get violent if they just don't want you around. They could want to chase you out.
It was a test. Let's see if you're going to stay around.
But Al did stay around.
I went upstairs. I turned into the northwest bedroom, and I opened the door. The minute I stepped foot in that room, I felt nauseous. I felt terror. And I felt as though something was pulling me down to the floor. The terror was almost debilitating. I was pushed a couple times. I was struck, and all of a sudden I felt a sharp pain in my right ribs. And that lasted for probably 3 weeks before it finally dissipated.
Al started to realize that his life was in danger.
I had a fight or flight instinct, and the instinct was to flee, so I did. It's really terrifying, the sense that you're not alone, and that something bad could happen.
After experiencing a string of strange events in his picture-perfect farmhouse, Al Kelchner was under attack.
The feeling of dread and doom was overbearing.
Al decided he needed outside help.
I decided to open up the house to investigative teams. It really started with wanting a confirmation that what was happening to me, one, was really happening, and number two, I wasn't losing my mind.
I'm pretty sensitive to the spirits, so when I get to a location, I can kind of sense there was a lot of animosity going on at this place. Before I go to any location, I would always try to do some research on it. I read a lot about the people that owned the farm initially. There was a doctor as well that lived at the property, and from what I understand, he did some crazy things with the children. He would molest them.
Did you hear that?
Within a few hours, we heard screams by doing some EVP sessions. The things that were scary to me were there were a lot of black shadows at the property. I heard noises coming from the staircase that was behind me. I heard somebody running down the stairs. I felt something come up close to my back, and the next thing I know, I felt just like a bear hug completely around my stomach.
This would not be the only investigation at Al's farm.
As time went on and I had groups come in, members of these investigating teams seemed to observe more and more shadow figures. One of the most amazing experiences I've had at that house was an evening when a small group was there.
Oh my God, look! Look!
One of the people sitting at the dining room table said, "Oh my God, there's a shadow walking back and forth in the living room." And sure enough, the window was completely blacked out. They observed them outside through the windows, walking between the barn, the machine shed, and inside the house. And then that morphed into what looked like the figure of a person. And for the next half hour, we watched that shadow walk around in the living room. It was pretty profound.
Seeing a shadow figure, if it's a shadow man, you are seeing a spirit trying to manifest itself. It's trying to show itself to you. So it forms as a dark mass. Shadow people, on the other hand, they were never human. They're a bit more physical, larger shadows with heads, no necks, big shoulders. It could be you are going through a weakness at the time and they're taking advantage of it. You could be also dabbling in something you're not supposed to be dabbling in, and they come as a warning.
Shadow people can be pretty bad and could hurt people. I was scared, frightened for Al's safety.
I was told there could be up to 30 spirits in the house at one time, which I thought was an exaggeration. But when I hear that multiple times repeated to me over a period of years, then I start to pay attention. I knew the place was haunted, but I didn't realize how haunted it really was. There was a woman at the house who came to visit, and she described every entity, known entity in the house. There was a farmer from the 19th century who was in the kitchen. There was a male entity in the northwest bedroom of the house. The report was that this entity was a doctor who had a lot of negative energy or was not very nice. There came a point where I needed answers and I needed resolution. I believe it was 2011 to do something about the energy at the house. And no one had ever done a cleansing before.
Cleanse this house of all negativity. Only love and light may enter.
So we went from room to room, saged the corners high and low. It was my responsibility to make positive statements and also ban any negative energy. What I didn't know, although I was told afterwards, is that the medium with me could hear growling, furniture being slammed.
Negativity. Only love and light may enter. Cleanse this house of all negativity. Only love and light may enter.
And apparently it worked, because as I look back on that period and prior, the energy was very dark at the house. It isn't anymore.
The cleansing seemed to rid the house of its ghosts, but Al wasn't done with the spirit world yet. There was one final ghost, and it was waiting especially for him.
A woman in the house, who was usually found on the second floor, died around 1845. And the connection was described to me as something like a soulmate. She described Sarah as my wife from a past life. And it's really difficult for me to wrap my brain around, but they recorded an EVP. It's very brief, it's rapid, but it's pretty clear. It's a female voice saying, "I love him."
I love him.
It's hard for me to comprehend. I really thought about selling the house and giving up my dream, but I decided to stick with it and see what would unfold. Although I know there's some very negative energy, my experience for the most part has been positive, and somehow I managed to cope with what was going on around me and achieve some level of acceptance. And here I am 8 years later.
This is just a reminder to subscribe to enjoy our growing collection of paranormal content. Don't forget to like your favorite episode and ring the bell to be notified of new content. As always, thanks for watching.